Welcome, craft beer friends, to Season 7, Episode 19 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Lewis, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man, and also now known as Drinking Eagle from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How you doing tonight, Chris? And of course, what is in your glass?
Oh man, that's funny. I completely forgot about that. So I'm doing good today, Denny. I a little on the tired side, like you are probably as well. And I read through that whole intro. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't see it.
So, but yeah, I'm doing good. In my glass this evening, I'm drinking a beer from Fonta, Flora Brewery, which I believe is in North Carolina. Yeah, Nebo, North Carolina. It's called their Oak Stand, and the Oak Stand is a Schwartz beer brewed with estate-grown white oak.
Okay.
And it's definitely a little smoky. It's very strange because I don't know if I drank this before on this show or the fermented reality beer cast, but it tastes like the smell when you chainsaw through a piece of fresh timber.
Yeah, you mentioned that, I think, on fermented reality beer cast, I think.
And admittedly, I don't hate it.
Oh.
This is the third one that I have, or I have one more left in the cooler. I had 4 of them. I don't know why 4 of them showed up, but I mean, it's good. It's a little different, so I really don't hate it.
Well, good. Good.
But what about you? How's your evening, day going, and what's in your glass?
All right. Well, if to our listeners and to you, Chris, if I sound a little groggy, it's because I have been awake and out of bed since 2 a.m. this morning, Mountain Time. So that's 4 a.m. your
4
time, Chris.
My time. Yeah.
I normally get up at 3:30 anyway, so it's only an hour and a half earlier than normal, but I'm having trouble sleeping, and I've been doing all kinds of things. You guys will notice that my new and noteworthy beers are quite small for this episode, and the reason why is because I've been cutting back on some alcohol, seeing if it helps me sleep better. And guess what? It's really not helping, but
oh, thank God.
But you know what? You got to try. And so pretty much the last few weeks, I have not been drinking in the middle of the week. So like I have to drink on Mondays because we record a podcast every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do a beer podcast without drinking beer, right? It just doesn't seem right.
That'd be sacrilege.
Yeah. So I drink Monday, and then I take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I haven't been drinking, kind of making sure, cleaning my body out of some of that beer stuff that might affect sleeping. And then Friday I'll have some drinks, and then Saturday, Sunday I'll have some drinks. But even in that case, like I may only have one beer on a Saturday, or maybe one beer on a Friday. So I've cut back my drinking quite a bit, which is good on my pocketbook, because when you're not drinking as much, then you're not spending as much.
Yeah.
Right. It goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a little bit tired. So if I come across a little bit groggy, or if I don't make sense, just let me know, Chris, that, hey, Denny, did you mean that? Or our listeners that are on Facebook Live right now, it's okay. Just let me know. But I think I'll be good. We're going to try to keep the show a little bit short, just because Chris has got to go back to work after we get done. So I don't want to keep him too late. And plus, like I said, I'm really tired, but I'm always doing good when I get to chat with you, Chris, because this makes me smile, makes me happy. I love our talks. I love interacting with our listeners on Facebook Live. So that's always good. But when I'm drinking, it's April is Idaho Craft Beer Month every April. Last April was a little bit of a bummer because they postponed Idaho Craft Beer Month until August, but they're having it this month. And I think on Thursday, which is the day this episode releases, is going to be the Pints Up Idaho, where everyone goes and drinks and gets their pint glass. I'm hoping they're going to hold that Thursday. I haven't seen officially the glasses or anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of talk of virtual Pints Up. Virtual doesn't work for me. I need to go have some real beers at the bar, at the breweries, and gather the cup. Every year since we've been doing this, we've gone to Mad Swede and got our Pints Up Idaho glasses. So I want to continue that Thursday night and do that. But again, it is. Can you guys see that? Can you see that, Chris? There we go.
Mm-hmm.
This is a beer that Grand Teton Brewing brews every Idaho Craft Beer Month, and it's their hazy IPA. And once it's gone for the year. But this is a great IPA. I picked up a 4-pack of it just to celebrate the the month and drink it. And I'll probably pick up another 4-pack before it's over. But here's what it looks like in the glass. Nice hazy, super creamy head that just kind of sticks up above the glass, even kind of nice. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. Of course, I'm gonna have to wait till that head dies down a little bit, or I'll be wearing it all right here, looking like a fool. Kind of looking like a YouTube video I released where I had a little bit of foam stuck to my mustache.
I mean,
all that, just a little bit.
Worth it.
So yeah, it's Grand Teton's Brewing's hazy IPA. That's what I'm drinking. All right, Chris.
I like that label art on it.
Yeah,
with the state of Idaho on it, and
yeah, it's in the shape of the state of Idaho. It's got the falls from well, I'm assuming it's the falls from Idaho or Twin Falls, the Shoshone Falls. That's a big watermark. It may also kind of highlight the 10,000 or 1,000. Shoot, it's like we have seeping water out of the cliffs. 1,000 springs. I think that's what it's called. We got a lot of hot springs, and water comes out of these walls, and yeah. Oh, it's called Land of Many Waters.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay, well, let's get the show started, Chris. Before we get too far into it, though, I always want to let anyone new to the show know what Tap the Craft podcast is all about. We are an educational podcast. We focus around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist our listeners along in their craft beer journeys and adventures. And you're listening to episode 175, recording on Monday, April 5th, 2021. And in this episode, we're going to go a little bit different topic than we've been focused on the last few episodes. We're going to talk about diversity in craft beer. And this is a topic that was brought to us or asked of us to maybe cover by Tara Carlson. And she is entering a contest that we'll talk about here in a little bit. And you can also enter the contest to help us with some topics for the show. And this topic is not new. It actually kind of started hitting home a little bit in 2019 when the Brewers Association added to their annual survey some diversity questions. And, I read over this stuff back then, and 2020 came, and it kind of got, kind of brushed under a little bit, but it came back to light, especially after Tara, mentioned it. And there's been a couple other articles and things that have come out. And so we're going to talk about that study that the Brewers Association did, as well as, how things are, how some programs are going along to help promote diversity out in the craft beer. Plus, I want to just ask some questions of Chris and I and of our listeners, about this whole diversity. How do you guys feel? What's wrong with the diversity that we have in craft beer, and how can we make it better? So there's some questions I have at the end of that too. We'll talk about.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Why don't we, once you get through that last bit, we can actually share that video here real quick too.
Okay.
Just because, sure. We have the capability of sharing.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, it's a great video. So yeah, I just want to say, as well as some great conversation between Chris and I. So right now, let's go ahead and tune to YouTube and hear about the contest that we're having.
What we could do for our next episode. How about? Yeah, that could be a pretty good idea. Well, no, we did that already.
It's funny. I'm actually wearing the same shirt and drinking the same beer.
Yeah, we could. No, did that too.
I love the sound effects too.
I got it. Yeah, you guys can help us. Yes.
Hey guys, it's Chris from Tap the Craft. We would love to get your ideas for some new show topics. In exchange for your help, we're going to enter you into a contest to win a $20 gift card from our sponsors at Brewer Shirts. Here's what you need to do. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You gotta follow us on both of them. And then send us a message, either through Facebook, Instagram, through our email address, through our voicemail, and let us know those ideas. We're gonna need at least 5 submissions before we give this gift card away, guys. So let's see what you got. And we'd love to feature your topic on our next episode. Cheers.
Well done, Chris.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's a great idea. And I love the fact that you made a video to kind of get the point across that, hey, we've had some great topics, and does get a little bit tough to come up with new topics every 2 weeks. And I think I do a pretty good job. And I love the idea of getting the input from our listeners. And if they want to help us out, we can provide them the opportunity to win a gift card from our sponsor. So great job.
Thank you. And the cool part is, well, I don't know if you want to call it the cool part. So far, we've had 2 entries, guys.
Yeah.
I need 5 before I'm even going to consider giving this thing out. So
yeah. And let me tell you, Tara Carlson outdid herself.
Yeah.
I mean, I counted up. How many was it? Like 8?
She covered 5 for herself. So, I mean, she's probably sitting at home watching The Bachelor right now. So you can't let her, outdo you.
But yeah, so, and actually I'm splitting one of her topics into 2. One is tonight, and the other one will most likely, unless something changes, will most likely be a second part of this conversation, where we talk about just how women in brewing in general, how women started, in the beginning of brewing, it was actually women that were doing the brewing. And so let's go into the history behind the start of brewing and why women were brewing and what happened, why things changed. So that would be the topic that I'm hoping to cover on the next show. So it'd be kind of interesting. And she wanted to find out about that. Okay. Well, we didn't have any other feedback besides the people entering into our contest. So yeah, we want to hear your voicemails. We want to see your emails. We want to see you on Facebook and Twitter. Tag us and stuff. Untapped even is great. Feel free to do that. And also, we really do appreciate our Patreon support, because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, William Slimmer, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Tara Carlson, Chad Lamassa, Mark Church, Matt Knight, and Kirk Tabor, who want to buy us a virtual beer. If you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer, or even being a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. And we kind of mentioned the Brewer Shirts contest, Chris. I can just go ahead and skip through that because we did that. And I kind of hinted at the fact that I did put up a new YouTube video besides the contest that Chris did. I've been working on some quote quick takes. My version of a quick take is not so quick, but I'm a thorough guy and I like to go into details on stuff. But I did do a YouTube video, quick take on the North Coast Brewing's Scrimshaw Pilsner, some tasting notes and a little history behind the brewery and the beer, in a short 7-minute video. It's not that long, but I have a couple in the series of North Coast Brewing I'm going to do. And then I also want to try to do more similar to what Johnny Casino did, where he just kind of opens up his phone and starts talking, pouring a beer, and does like a really quick take. No editing or anything, just kind of here, I'm drinking this beer. Here's what I get. And you get 2 minutes of us talking. And Chris, feel free to enter some of those yourself. I know you're drinking some beers, and if you want to do a quick take like you've done in the past, go ahead. Feel free.
Will do.
Okay. Because we didn't get any feedback, I just want to let you guys know you can contact the show with your questions through email at tapthecraft@gmail.com or on Instagram and Twitter. Just follow us at tapthecraft. And of course, Chris is on our Facebook page 24/7, waiting for your questions, comments, and messages. It's at facebook.com/tapthecraft. And we do have our very own Tap the Craft website where you can find all the episodes to our past 175 episodes, as well as our videos, as well as Fermented Reality Beercast links, some shopping tips, some blogs, some everything. We got a lot of stuff on that website. We are updating it pretty routinely. So go check it out and stay informed. And Chris, it's let's continue this conversation because now it is time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
So you know what's funny? I've written this in red in our notes. It says, "Hey, remember, if you want us to read your beer check-ins, make sure you follow me on Untapped at MCK1345." I never read that. So if you want us to read your beer check-ins, make sure you follow me on Untapped at MCK1345, and we read these check-ins usually from about 24 hours ago, which my time, it's currently 8:45 p.m. on a Monday evening. We normally go back about 24 hours. So follow me on Untapped at MCK1345. Okay, here we go. First is going to start off with Tom Byrne is drinking an On and On Part 1 by Revolution Brewing. And he's drinking that at the Satanic Temple Star chapter.
Wow, I didn't know Star had a Satanic
They got
Temple.
a liquor license. They got a liquor license. It looks like they're serving some good stuff.
Wow, I need to talk to Tom about that. Okay.
He gave this one 4.5 caps for this beer. It looks like he's drinking a couple of things out there too. He's also drinking the Brewed Abides by Pelican Brewing. So this is a lost check-in that he gave 3.5 caps to. On the list, Brad Fatler is drinking a Special Operations 2021 by Fatheads Brewery. Checking that in at Untapped at Home. A lot of people still using that Untapped at Home check-in.
I am too. Until I get to 100, then I'm going to stop.
And then what? Because when you get to 100, you've had...
I go back to the Bat Cave.
You've got 377 badges for checking in 100 times there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got to get to 10,000. I won't get to 10,000 unique check-ins, but at least get to 10,000 badges.
Oh, Brad is... Yeah, we get to 10,000 badges. And after you get to 10,000 badges, it just tells you how disappointed it is in you.
Yeah.
David Makazuki chiming in saying, "Hey guys, how y'all doing? Good to see you hop on here, David."
Hey, David. Yo, Jimbo, 2000.
Yeah. Brad Fatler is also drinking a beer that I was going to go to the beer garden and go grab a hold of. Astronaut Food, Blackberry Raspberry by Urban Artifact. Comes in the little pint size. Well, no, half pint size, 8-ounce cans.
Yeah, that's what Joel had, right?
Yeah. So I still need to run over to the beer garden and see if I can't grab a can or two of that.
Okay.
4.5 caps for that beer. No notes or anything on there. He's getting some good stuff. These are all... He's also drinking a Dimetrodon from Urban Artifact. What is a Dimetrodon other than a dinosaur?
A prehistoric...
That's true. Yeah, it's the one that everybody knows with the big fin across its back. But it's 4 3/4 caps for this one. These were all from 11 hours ago. So either you were doing some serious breakfast, or these are just kind of late check-ins. And
yeah, he probably had a rough night drinking all that, passed out, and then realized, oh, damn, I didn't do all the check-ins.
Yeah. And Jeff Seiler says, "Badges? We don't need no stinking badges."
Exactly.
All right. And next on the list, Mr. Buck Buchanan is drinking an Extraordinary Bitter by High Gravity Brewing Company. He's drinking that at Pippin's Tap Room, and he gave that one 4 caps. No notes. That was about 5 hours ago, so that would be 4 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock his time. No, 3 o'clock his time. So he's day drinking too. He wrote, "Great ESB," and that's good enough for me because I love a good ESB.
Me too.
Jim Kudzall, which is, he's tagged Tara, so there's probably a following check-in. You guys are so good about your check-ins, right? It's like either Tara gets it in first or Jim does, and you guys are always right behind each other. Jim's drinking a Ziadi by Diamondback Brewing Company. Crisp, light, hazy, and refreshing Czech Pilsner from a local brewery. Just the thing after a 5-mile walk on the rail trail. 4 cap rating for that beer. Oh, what do you know? Tara Carlson's drinking a Ziadi by and she
Was
had
it
a little-
Milko style?
yeah, nothing but foam. And she actually had a little different take on this. Jim rated it 4 caps. Tara said, not enjoying this as much as I thought I would.
Ooh.
I'm getting a strange aftertaste, maybe a byproduct of my hot Italian sausage lunch.
Yeah, a little bit of burp action there. Yeah, that'll definitely tear up a
that might.
Pilsner.
But she gave it 3.5 caps, so it wasn't completely off the wall crazy. Kevin Argauer. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah,
they're in Miami
I know.
Beach, I think, right?
Yeah. Amanda tagged me or texted me yesterday and said, "Hey, are you guys doing okay in Tampa?" And I was like, "Why?" Well, there's some big phosphate leak about a county south of us. Come to find out that they were having everyone evacuate from the area. And I was like, no, we're in 3 counties north camping in the woods. So we're just fine.
There's no alarms in the woods.
No, there certainly isn't.
You're just going to be walking and fall over dead.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, I'm still here, so it didn't happen. But he's drinking a Hurricane Hole Red by Florida Keys Brewing Company at the Hurricane Hole Waterfront Bar and Grill. 4 cap rating, and of course tagged Amanda in it because she doesn't check into her own beer. Continuing his check-in streak for the 946th show in a row, considering we only have 175 episodes. Chad Lamassa is drinking I can't say this name without always saying It's Always Sunny. The beer is called Always Sunny by Cushwa Brewing Company. And he wrote, I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so this was a no-brainer to pick up. It's a nice, hoppy, crushable pale ale. If they had labels with their other cast members, I'd pick those up too. 4.25 caps for that beer, and pick that up at Angel's Share Wine and Spirits. Mike Allen's been doing a little drinking too from 3 hours ago. I love it. I'm like prejudging you guys. You're all drinking so early. 6 o'clock, I guess. Drinking the Little Marmalade by Academia Brewing at the Taco Mac in Lawrenceville. A little tart, a little citrusy, pretty nice. 4 cap rating for that beer. Next on the list, Mike, you got a lot of check-ins in here, buddy, but there's so many of them here. I can't
just pick the highlights.
Yeah, I got to pick the good ones. That was kind of a dick thing to say. Next on the list, you know what I mean, Mike. We're good. Yeah, scrolling up. Jeff Seiler is drinking a Cherry Conic Jr. Love that name.
Love the name.
Yeah,
love it.
By Divine Barrel Brewing Company. This was delicious, he says. Tastes like a tart cherry pie with a hint of cinnamon. It's a gorgeous beer. 4 cap rating for that one. Mike, I'll get you on this one. Hartsfield IPA by Atlanta Brewing Company. So Hartsfield is the airport in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Strange sweetness on the first taste of this. Not bad, but not expected. 3.5 caps for that beer. Chad Lamassa, got to grab this one because it's a 5 cap rating.
Ooh.
Beer. He's drinking.
Is it Saison?
It's a good question. I'll look that up too while.
Saison.
There we go. He's drinking a Mare by Pipe the Side Brewing Company. He said the second of 3 crowlers I picked up at this brewery on Saturday. Really liking the smoky flavor.
Oh.
Guess Lichtenheiner is a Rausch beer adjacent style. Whatever it is, it's damn good. Lichtenheiner. Lichtenheiner.
So smoky.
Well, got to keep it clean. Jeff Seiler is drinking a beer. See, this is bad. Like, I'm only 1 beer in and I'm already stumbling over my words. And again, I still got to go back to work. Beer drinking is not a crime by Aslan Beer Company. Really tasty, hazy double IPA. Citrusy, piney, and mildly sweet. Drinks way too easy for 8%. Be careful out there. 4.25 cap ratings for that beer. Let's see who's next on the list. Art Warchek is drinking a Orange Tangerine Puffed by Cellarworks Brewing Company. 4.25 caps for that one. Let's see. Only because I really like peaches. Chad Lamassa is drinking a Forbidden Fruit peach by Idiom Brewing Company. Peaches and cream with a bit of tartness, he says. 4.5 cap rating. Let's see. Oh, Art Warcheck's drinking a Slushy XL Pink Peach Rings by 450 North Brewing Company. So probably clocking in at around 9%, but really 2.5. 4 cap rating for that one. No notes on there. Jeff Weiss is drinking a Don't Put Salt in Your Eyes Goza by Zymercuracy. I got this before. I can do it again. Zymercuracy. There we go. Beer company.
I need to correct you because I forgot that he wrote or Untapped messaged me and thanked us for mentioning him on the show and a little chat there, but it's Weesey.
Oh, it's Weesey.
Is the proper way of saying it in that area.
Okay.
So he corrected, but he did it very politely because I do want to make sure I say people's names correctly. So I meant to say that. I meant to tell you that before and I forgot. So now we know it's Weesey.
So Jeff Weesey is drinking a Don't Put Salt in Your Eyes Goza by the Zymercuracy Beer Company at the Zymercuracy Beer Company. Awesome fruit sour with a light salty finish. Cheers. 4.5 caps for that beer. And last, and we'll have to hit refresh, Art Warcheck is drinking the Illest Vanillins by Jackie O Brewery. And just writes delish. 4.5 caps for that beer. And I think he was listening to us now.
Oh, okay.
David Makazuki.
Yes, he's checking in right now.
Just checked into a Skull Bucket IPA.
Is that what
is
the
exactly
same thing you're drinking?
Right.
So he does have the same brew club you're in.
Yeah. Drinking the same thing you are, buddy. I think where you rated it is about where I'd go to because, these are all getting to the point where they're starting to oxidize a little bit and it's still good. Right? It's still a good beer. But any of these beers that I've gotten, this is not from Tavor. This is from something else that I got for Christmas this past year. But none of these have a brewed on date or even like a used by, like a best by date or anything like that.
Yeah, they probably remove them so people won't know that it was brewed 6 months ago.
Well, that's the thing, because it even says on the can, and I'm not going to try to hold this up, but it says drink up within 90 days of canned on date. There's nothing on the bottom here.
So a lot of times they put them on the holder too.
The
holder didn't come with a holder.
No,
right?
No holder.
Yeah, so that's probably what happened is they put it on the holder. The holder is removed to send it out to everyone. And again, they don't want you to know what the real date is. So it's a secret.
Well, I'm going to tag Steel Bender Brew Yard.
When did you brew this beer?
I mean,
it tastes like cardboard.
It's not, seriously, it's still a good beer. And it's just a quality IPA, Skull Bucket IPA, bold with hints of orange pine, right? And it definitely does that. So it's nothing like off the wall, crazy, hazy, fluffy IPA. It's just a good, solid IPA. Because I got it, admittedly, I probably got these about 20, 30 days ago.
Oh my God. You're just now drinking them? That's on you, dude.
Don't judge me, man.
Okay. You know what? Before we've been saying Jeff Seiler's name, Jeff Seiler, assuming that it's Seiler. Jeff, since you're on right now, have we been mispronouncing your name for like years? And if so, please let us know so we can pronounce it correctly from this point on. Thank you, Jeff.
He's had his chance to correct us.
Well, he's too polite and doesn't want to make us feel bad that we've said his name wrong for so.
Even if we did, I'm not going to correct it. Jeff Weesey, absolutely. Thank you for sending in that information for us, Jeff Seiler. Sorry, dude. It's been a couple years now.
It's been a few years. But I still want to make sure I say it right. I'm still waiting for Johann Halberg. Every time I wrote and said, "Hey, let me know how to pronounce your name. Make sure it's Johann and not Johann." I don't want to pronounce it wrong. I assumed it was Johann, so I'm just going with Johann because he never would respond back and make sure we were saying it correctly. Mm-hmm. He's too nice too. So it might be pronounced even, further out than Johann or Johann. It could be something else, right?
I'm going with the original. Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're doing it. I think we're doing
Okay.
just fine with it.
All right. So that's it.
Oh yeah, that's
David
what
Makazuki was the last one. Yeah.
David
David
Makazuki
made it in
closes
just
it
in
out.
time.
Yeah. I'll hit refresh just for the fun of it, and it's still him. So that's what everybody's
Okay.
drinking.
All right. Well, guess what? We're already down to the brew buzz. Yep,
We nailed it. Jeff
it's
Seiler.
Seiler. It is right. See, there we go. I'm only about 25% of the time wrong. Well, maybe less than that. Maybe I'm only like 5% wrong.
Oh man.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, it is time for the brew buzz, and the brew buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. And this week, as we already mentioned, we're going to discuss diversity in craft beer. Again, this topic was brought to us by one of our great listeners, Tara Carlson. And for this, I found a number of articles online that talked about it, and this is a deep subject that can probably go in a lot of different directions. So I'm not going to branch off too heavily. I picked 3 articles that kind of summarize the whole program and what's been mentioned already about diversity with craft beer, the Brewers Association's survey results, as well as a new program that aims to improve diversity in the craft beer industry. So there's 3 articles that I will post in the show notes. So if you want to go and review these yourselves, because I did take snippets from them, they're not the complete articles, then feel free to follow the links on our webpage or our show notes or wherever you want to find them. And I won't go ahead and read through those right now because that would take a while. So Chris, I'll read down to the first bolded thing, and you can read on to the next bolded thing, and I can take the next one. Does that sound good?
That sounds like a lovely idea.
Okay. All right. So once you look beyond what's in the glass, possibly the biggest discussion in the craft beer world is diversity. The stereotype of the bearded white brewer can be traced back to the earliest days of the movement 4 decades ago, when trailblazers like bearded Ken Grossman made seminal beers like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. And if you don't know, Ken Grossman is the brewer that started Sierra Nevada. And of course, he makes his Pale Ale. In 2019, for the first time, the Brewers Association reported on brewery employee diversity data. Data and reporting is among those member services because it gives business owners insight. Bart Watson, the BA's chief economist. Yeah, I am a little tired. Was the lead on analyzing the data and interpreting it. The BA, I'm going to say BA for Brewers Association, make it shorter, added employee diversity benchmark questions to its annual member survey. And this is where the brewery employee diversity data and the organization delivered in the report back in 2019. Now, I do have a note here. From my understanding, these were optional questions, not required by the breweries, submitting the survey. So these are all optional. The survey takers could refrain from answering if they didn't want to participate in the diversity portion. So I don't have I'm a non-member to the Brewers Association. So if I would have bugged John, maybe he could have gone in and got some of the real stats for us, which I probably should have done if I had more time to work on it. So I'm only limited to what's leaked out to us without having to be a paid member. So I don't have the actual numbers of the whole reports and everything. I don't know how many breweries submitted. I don't know how many breweries actually submitted their survey plus the diversity portion or not. So take the data that we're providing you right now with a little bit of a grain of salt, because we don't know all the details, right? We don't know how many of the 7,000 members actually submitted the survey and how many of those actually submitted the diversity portion. So just keep that in mind. All right, Chris. So why don't you go ahead and take that next part?
All right. What motivated the Brewers Association to compile and present brewery employee diversity data? We're going to stumble on that one. All right. The simplest reason for benchmarking this data is that you can't measure future change unless you know where you are to begin with, Watson
Exactly.
writes. The survey results aren't incredibly surprising, finding the majority of people who work in the breweries are white men. Let's look at a few of the other findings, though. There's a strong male presence among brewery employees who hold the title of brewer. About 7.5% of the staff of reporting breweries employed a female in the brewer role. Female representation among craft brewery employees grows to around 37% in the non-production, non-service staff roles. The segment that employs the most women is the brewery service staff at about 54%. The survey also asked breweries about the ethnicity of their employees. 88% of the people who own craft breweries are white, while American Indian, that's what's up, or Alaskan Native make up 4%. Asian and Hispanic both at 2%, and Black brewery owners make up 1%. The ethnic makeup gets a tad more diverse when you look at the employees in non-brewing roles on production staffs. Hispanic brewery employees making up 7% of non-brewing production staffs, and Black employees 3.5%. On brewery service staffs, the survey says Hispanic employees make up about 7.5%, while Black employees a little over 4%.
Yeah. So, so there's the numbers that we have right now to work with. That's all that's what's been released out to the public, in front of the paywall. So it's a little, it when you look at the numbers, it seems alarming, right? It's like, whoa, this is, totally white and not many women.
Right.
But we'll wait till the end here, and we'll talk more, and we'll try to figure out why this is and what can be done to maybe help it along.
But also too, in the 8,000 plus breweries, it doesn't really specify how many actually reported either.
Yeah. I have I also added just in the Boise in the Boise area, 22 breweries. I kind of mapped out what I could find. Again, not all the breweries have good web presence online right now. Most of breweries are focused on selling their beer online, right? They're not focused on telling about their brewers and all that stuff. But I have a little bit of numbers just for my area in Boise, just a small snippet, small little town to see how diverse we are in Idaho here. Okay, let's go on to the survey results that provide some benchmarks. So as Watson references, the Brewery Employee Diversity Survey data is meant to provide the industry with benchmarks so that leaders who are interested in diversifying staff can measure if their efforts are working when the BA collects the survey results in the future. So I think this is the key, right? If the BA didn't start collecting the data, then they wouldn't have a baseline. And that's why they don't have a baseline before 2019, because that wasn't part of the survey, and nobody was keeping track. Is it, so start, right? That's the first step. Start tracking it so you can see if improvements are made. I believe, in my own opinion, the real reason the BA is really trying to track this data is all about marketing their product to a more diverse crowd. How can they, the people that are working in the industry, they don't work there necessarily just randomly, right? Most people are working there because they have a passion, or they have they want to be in that industry. So, and they enjoy drinking craft beer, obviously too, right? Why work in a place if you don't enjoy the product? It doesn't make sense, right? You're not going to be a good employee if you don't partake in the product and enjoy it. Not that you have to, but a lot of times that helps. So I think the Brewers Association really is trying to focus on how they can market the craft beer product to a more diverse crowd, to get people more interested in it, to then inspire them to join in the industry and be part of it. So that's what my thought process here is, a little insight into that. All right. Brewery owners, craft beer community leaders, and the BA, state guilds, and other businesses who support small and independent brewers are already working towards creating a more diverse industry. we are seeing beer festivals that celebrate women, like Beers Without Beards, which is in New York, the female the female
Wow.
fest in South Florida, and the Fresh Fest, which is a beer festival and symposium that brings together Black and Hispanic brewers and beer lovers, held which in 2019 held their second event. So there are some diverse festivals and things going on that help spread that word, maybe get it out to those communities to just get the word out, get the people drinking these beers. And maybe if someone hears that, hey, you know what, there's a beer festival and there's and this beer festival really has a lot of Black owned breweries that are at here, and there's other Black people or people that want to try it out, might come on down and try beers that they may not have tried before if they didn't hear that this event might be catered to something that they might enjoy. So okay.
All right. And then diversity program in action. An innovative new paid internship program recently announced by the Bronx Brewery addresses one of the craft brewing's industry craft. Damn it, Denny. One of the craft.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just peachy. One of the craft brewing industry's most glaring issues, its lack of diversity. If successful, it could provide a framework that others in the trade could use to expand their business's scope and reach. By partnering with Beer Culture, the St. Petersburg, Florida-based nonprofit dedicated to fostering diversity, is that supposed to be equity or equality? It says equity, so I'm going to read it as is. Diversity, equity, and inclusion in the craft beer space, they have created a program that's explicitly targeting individuals underserved in the industry. Kicking off in March, the program will offer a 2-month paid internship to 6 individuals in 2021 from the BIPOC and recently incarcerated communities. Bronx Connect will provide the pool of incarcerated individuals. Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm a beer and a half in, so I'm probably not like, whoo, wasted, but okay. By partnering with an organization like ours, it gives the brewery the chance to tap into a market that's already there, says Letitia Cook, president and CEO of Beer Culture. You are bringing in a whole new demographic, an entirely untapped market that is not buying your beer right now. They don't know about it. Plus, when you bring in new people, you get different flavors, different aspects, and different views in your business. That only helps you be better and have more success. She makes a damn good point.
Yeah.
By building off of their successful 5-year internship program, the Bronx Brewery uses a system that they know works and has proven results. Their head brewer, Manny Salvatore, is a graduate of it. While in the program, each participant will work in all aspects of operations, from brewing to creative concept and recipe development. They also will get to write a recipe for Up-and-Comers limited release series. Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a program that is being spawned off from this initial survey, right? That happened, a year and a half ago, almost a year and a half ago. And so programs like this are going to start to pop up that are going to try it. Just like she said, it's a perfect, like you said, it's a really well spoken statement about introducing craft beer to people that may not have been introduced to it, and finding that diversity. So I expect to see a lot more of these type of programs going on. Now, I know that the Brewers Association, after that, in 2019, after they released those results, they had set up a program to help fund and grant money to breweries and programs like this. And then when 2020 hit and the virus, from what I understand, I don't have any articles or anything to refer to, but what I've heard from other industry people is that those programs failed to get funded when the Brewers Association was losing money because of COVID shutdowns, right? And people, they weren't, they end up cutting a big portion of their staff, and they had to pull money back that they had originally, wanted to provide for these diversity programs, and never get them going. I'm hoping that in 2021 they'll revisit these grants and these programs to help help provide funding to get different programs going and help reach out to other cultures and ethnics, whatever, ethnic groups. So yeah, and I know that Brooklyn beer, right, in New York. The owner, head brewer there is black, and I know that he's got internships and programs that he's been working on for years to help promote getting more black men and women into the craft beer and in brewing and in industry, whether it's just getting them into an entry-level position and having them work up and eventually one day work their way up to a brewer position if that's what they want to do, or at least, just like they said before, introduce them into a bunch of different jobs and find one that maybe they like better, right? Maybe they don't want to be a brewer. Maybe they want to be, someone that's tending bar, or somebody that's working in the back of the brewery, just helping out, stocking and canning or whatever. Maybe they have a job that they are more suited to than to get up there and brew the beer and come up with recipes and stuff like that. So there's been stuff going on already, but I'm hoping it opens up opportunity for more. So with that, when I think about craft beer industry and diversity in craft beer, it brings up some questions. And so I kind of wrote down a few questions, Chris, that I wanted to ask in front of us so we can answer it and ask our listeners. And please, listener, if you want to write into us and let us know what your feelings are on these questions, please do it. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to talk about it, open a conversation about it, because Chris is more in line with the diversity group, since he's part Indian, American Native American. Sorry, I'll make sure I say it right. He's part Native American, where I'm just a bearded white man. I'm the 80
guy with a beard.
So I can't talk about anything. I can say that I'm all for diversity. I don't care, honestly, I don't care who brews my beer. I don't care if it's a woman. I don't care if it's Hispanic or a black man or a black woman or a lesbian or a transgender. I don't care who's brewing my beer. If they're brewing good beer, I'm going to appreciate that beer and I'm going to enjoy it. Right. I'm all open for diversity. So I don't have a problem with it. But again, nobody cares about what I think because I'm just a bearded white man. I'm already in the majority of the craft beer scene. So my opinion doesn't matter. But the first question I have is where, if you want to start thinking deep into this problem, you have to think of, okay, they're right off the bat, the first thing they say in the survey is how many women and different ethnic groups are represented as brewers in craft beer. Now, when you bring it to that point, you have to ask a question: is why do people choose to become a brewer, right? Why do you choose to become a brewer? And to me, it's simple. You don't want to be a brewer unless you have a passion for the craft beer, right? Like, I have a passion for craft beer. I love drinking craft beer. I also have a passion for processes. So everyone always thinks that because of my passion for the hobby and the passion for processes and being creative and stuff, that I would just naturally want to be a brewer. But guess what? I don't want to be a brewer. I enjoy helping out with home brews and stuff, but my passion doesn't lie in going and being a brewer. Even though I have the beard, I am white, and I fit into that majority, I don't want to be a brewer. So when it comes to diversity, a lot of it is you're not going to have women brewers or black brewers or Hispanic brewers or Native American brewers unless they enjoy craft beer. And unless they enjoy it enough and they want to be creative and they want to learn how to do the process and learn that process to do something like they mentioned in the articles, to make their own diverse craft beer, something that may not be being done, then you're not going to get that diversity in the brewer thing. So you have to have a passion. So, I'm not surprised there's not more women or other ethnics. I think for the most part, in the early beginnings of craft beer movement, it was mainly white men at a certain age, older men, not young people, right? It was the 40-year-olds and people that were brewing beer because they were tired of drinking the same old crappy lagers that were being given to them, and they wanted to have that flavor, and they wanted to produce something that they would enjoy, and they took it upon themselves to do it. And in the beginning, it was mainly a older crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got into it when I was in my 20s, but I don't think I would have got into it if I didn't wander into that brewery right down the street from the sub base and enjoy the environment and stuff and learn about craft beer. I could have gone on another 10, 15 years and not got into craft beer if I hadn't had that experience. And I think that's what a lot of diversity has to happen, right? You have to be exposed to it, you have to enjoy it, and then you want to have to go in and become part of that. And I think if we can spread out getting craft beer into more people, then that diversity will naturally, organically grow, because they'll want to be part of this whole industry, and then they'll either go out and look for a job in an existing brewery, or they're going to start their own. And that's what we're seeing a lot. There's a lot of diversity that all Black or Hispanic or women that are starting their own brewery because they want to be part of this industry. So I think it all, it doesn't shock me that, and it doesn't make me upset that there's that the numbers right now are mostly in the white male and a limited number of women, because I think that will grow. Like, I still go to, we went to Clairvoyant Brewing a couple of weeks ago. Beautiful sunny day, packed place. But as I looked around, what did I see? I saw a lot of the women that were there drinking. They weren't drinking beer. They were drinking wine. They were drinking seltzer, which I don't count seltzer as craft beer, right? Craft breweries are making it because they want to make sure they have things for people to drink, but
so they can have a diverse portfolio, right?
Portfolio. But I don't think anyone's going to go and drink seltzer and want to go work at a brewery to make seltzer, right? That doesn't seem like a very much passion there thing.
Maybe.
But there's still a lot of women that don't drink beer.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to ask yourself, what's going on with the rest of the alcoholic beverage communities? What's the diversity numbers for wine? I mean,
it's probably the opposite.
You think, for drinking probably is like a reversal, but what about for wine making? Who's making all the wine? Who's working in the vineyards? And I mean, is it mostly white males, or is there or a lot of women doing that, or a lot of Hispanic, or a lot of Black people? I don't know. But I mean, again, if there's not a passion for it, why would you want to do it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's harder to get into the wine, maybe it's easier to get into brewing beer than it is to being a winemaker. That's quite possible, right? Just like a huge
absolutely
investment needed to have an orchard, to have to do the grapes and to have the equipment. There's a huge capital investment that's probably a lot larger than a small, nano brewery that you could do. So that's probably one reason.
Yeah.
So I've kind of talked a little bit. What do you think, Chris? Who do you think become brewers? And what do you think the majority of are really drinking craft beer?
I really have to say it is the people who they become brewers because look at John, for example, right?
Yeah.
He started getting into home brewing just for fun and started winning some awards. And I don't know his whole backstory, but fast forward to now, he's got, from what we can see, a very successful brewery. And there was just that passion for having not only the good beer, the good good processes, I guess, that
Mhm.
you would look at it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also
Just
too,
processes. Yeah.
the community that revolves around craft beer. I mean, they are huge in engaging with their community, right? And I know a lot of breweries are. So what I look at too is that the people, yes, they want to brew great beer. They want to have an awesome place where people can come in after work, grab a couple of beers, hang out with their friends, but also engage that community.
Mhm.
And the craft beer community, whether it's doing an outreach for the surrounding neighborhood or an outreach for,
Mhm.
I don't know, doing a food drive at Christmas or whatever. Craft beer community is honestly what brought me to kind of seek out
Mhm.
more, well, different beers, right? Kind of start that craft beer journey, just the people that I would meet. I mean, my second job that I had in Florida, I got because I met someone at a brewery
Mm.
and they said, "Oh, we're looking for somebody. You should
Mhm.
give my boss a call and they might be able to hook you up with an interview." So the beer community is one of the big things that I always have loved, and I feel that that's one of the other reasons that people choose to become brewers.
Mhm.
Um, and the majority who are really drinking craft beer, again, we really don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. You're right. That's it. That's the point, is we don't know. And the only way to know is if we have some outside group, either the
Mhm.
brewery, as they come up and they get your beer order, like, okay, answer these questions. And now you got to go through the whole
Right.
list. How do you see yourself? All those dumb, I mean, I think they're dumb because, for example, for me to get my COVID appointment, I had to
Mhm.
tell them, whether I'm white or whatever, am I Hispanic or am I not? And do I see was I born a male, and, sex, and think of myself. I mean, I had to answer all these questions. So I'm like, I just want a damn COVID
I
shot.
just want to get a
I don't need, why do I got to tell you my whole sex orientation?
Mhm.
And, I mean, why do we have to, why am I being profiled here? I don't know. But
Yeah.
the same thing, are we going to be profiled when we go to order beer, or do you have to have a third party come in and sit there for a few days a week and record who your clientele are coming in, age, 21 to 30 is this, and women, and, come on.
But you know what the great thing about technology, Denny? Everywhere
Mhm.
you go, your phone does that for you.
So yeah, or
Yeah.
maybe, or, if you're a conspiratist,
A conspiracy theorist.
yeah, then if you get the COVID, then you're walking around with the, tracker, so they're tracking you anyway. But yeah, you're right. How do we know who the real drinkers are? The only way you know is by going in, drinking yourself, and seeing what's around you, right? And I do see a lot more diversity,
Mhm.
a lot more now than there was before. But I'm still seeing, like I mentioned, I'm still amazed when I go into a brewery and I see all these wine glasses sitting up. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy smokes, you're in a brewery. Well, I'm glad that they're able to serve you wine, but enjoy the beer, right?
Yeah.
But not everyone likes beer.
No, and we always talk about that. If you haven't, if you try a beers you don't like, you just haven't tried the right one.
Mhm.
I get this kind of this kick out of somebody going, I don't like beer.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, really? Tell me more, right? Just because I love that even me at 18, 19 years old going, yeah, beer's gross. I don't like beer.
Hey, I just saw that Johann Halberg jumped on our live stream.
Yeah.
How you doing, Johann? It's late where you're at. Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
We won't keep you too long.
it's like 3-4 in the morning.
He's probably
This
working,
time.
maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe he's working. He's got it on his phone. He's enjoying some good beer conversation.
Yeah. But
All
yeah.
right. So,
Uh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Chris.
No, I was just gonna battle on about something else, but go ahead and continue on.
Oh, I was going to say, how do you go about getting more diverse people drinking craft beer? I think that's the key question. Is, they're taking this survey and now they're going to use this data and they're saying, holy smokes, we need more diversity of people coming in and drinking and wanting to work in the industry. So how can we do that? So do you have any ideas, Chris, how how we can get more diverse. You think these festivals that we mentioned, the female and the whatever the other one was, that those are going to get more people to come in and drink craft beer, or do you think there's other ways?
I'm sure there's other ways. There's got to be, right? And I love, I would imagine if you're trying to, maybe target isn't the right word, but if you're trying to focus on a certain demographic, okay, well, then how do you appeal to that demographic? Currently what we look at, and I would totally back this up, is that, the craft beer world is mainly, like we see the old white guy with the beard kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But we also see too is that you kind of have to see how that what's the word I'm looking for? How that culture spreads, right? How is that culture going to spread? And we see, for example, I've seen in just here in Tampa, like I've seen breweries go in pretty much anywhere they've got space to, and then it kind of reaches out to all cultures in that area, regardless of its ethnicity, regardless of its race. I mean, whatever. And you see people who would want to go to a brewery. All of a sudden, they are. Johan said he's working the night shift this week, checking in on coffee break.
Good for you.
Yeah. But just looking at that, going, how do we get more out there? Okay, well then do the woman or the women focused beer festivals. I mean, there's so much diversity out there. There's so many different demographics that you could point to. It'd be very difficult to reach out to them all. And I think it's going to be kind of that word of mouth thing, right? I mean, you go, hey, I really liked, you guys had, what was the beer that really got you? It was a blueberry wheat something that you and Sarah used to drink in
at Thomas Kemper.
Yeah.
It was a blueberry. They had a blueberry, they had a raspberry wheat and a blueberry lager.
Okay. But that was something that you guys were, you were on your whatever drinks you had prior to that, and then you discovered that. And now you've gone way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
20 years later. And it's just one of those things where, if you're exposed to it, depending on who you hang out with, you're going to be exposed to it more or less. And how do we really get more diverse people? It's word of mouth. I really think it's a lot of word of mouth. Because like my neighbor, for example, at my old house, he would always ask me, he was like, why is everybody lining up down on Florida Avenue at Angry Chair? He's like, I drove by this morning and there was 200 people standing on the sidewalk. It's 8:00 in the morning, guys. And I was like, oh yeah, I was out there. And he goes, are you serious? It's like, yeah, I was out there getting some beer. He goes, how good could that beer really be? Well, Phil, it's really the beer's good, but it's it's an event, right? Waiting in line for beer. Now, not doing that a lot, but waiting in line for beer. But again, there's the community involved with it. The sitting down, sharing a couple beers with some friends, and having that time just to hang out, meet new people, and enjoy the beer together. Get rid of COVID. That'll help.
Yeah. So you're right. You kind of lit into mine. Get rid of COVID will help, and have more community, like you said, local community. So a lot of times these festivals are held in areas that are going to be, for one thing, where they're going to have these big festivals, but maybe they need to start focusing on smaller festivals, kind of like what we do here, where we have that Boise Brewing puts on the Hoptober Festival, right? It's a fresh hop small festival that's right by their brewery that takes over a couple blocks. And the way they have it now is it's open. It's an open area where people can just come in and buy a couple tokens and a glass and drink, and there's no commitment, right? You come in, you have one or two, you're gone. But you're getting exposed to something that you may not have been exposed to before, and not having to go through the hassle of pre-ordering your tickets and waiting and paying $35 to get in, where people are like, you know what? I'm kind of curious about this, but I don't want to pay $35 to get into and try this beer. We need to have some more smaller festivals that are focused in certain communities that you want to attract, that you say, you know what, we need to have more Hispanic craft beer drinkers. And how are we going to do that? What's going to get them away from whatever their favorite craft beer is, which I don't know. I'm not going to make an assumption of what it is, but they have some beer that they'll buy because that's what they're used to buying. And what can they do to get them away from that? Well, you know what? Why don't you go and hold a little mini, 5 brewery festival in a little park, get the permit, have the park, have it, more of an open family friendly venue, so they can bring their kids in, and they're not, they don't have to pay a big entry fee. They just go and try a couple beers, and guess what? If they like what they find, they'll go look for that beer on the shelf. They might go to that brewery, right? They might go and try it and get hooked like I did and like you did, right? That's a good way of doing it. We need to kind of stop the big giant festival thing, like the Great American Beer Fest type thing, and go back to small community-based festivals that bring in the people that are either too afraid to go in and try it, or it's like our podcast, right? I built this podcast for one reason, to be approachable to people, to learn about craft beer. I don't want people to be scared to come and find out about craft beer. I want them to come in, listen to what we have to say, and be inspired to go try it. Get the courage to go to that craft beer brewery and say, hey, I'm new to this, but I've listened to this podcast, and he says, I need to come talk to the beer tender, and you're going to help me find out what I'm going to enjoy. That's why we do this podcast, is to provide a way for people that don't have other means to learn about craft beer. I think the same type of behavior can be done in the bigger industry, and bring people to it. Smaller little festivals is my thing. So, all right. One last question, Chris, before we get on to finish this show up. So what do you think? Are these diversity numbers that we got with this first survey, are these acceptable?
Yes. And I'll tell you why.
No, tell me.
Because, like it said in the very beginning of this kind of in the very beginning of the Brew Buzz, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Is it acceptable? Absolutely, because this is what we got.
Yeah, it's where it's at.
This is what we got.
I agree with you, Chris. You might have thought I might have had something else. I don't. I agree that this is a starting point. Is it acceptable if in 5 years from now the numbers are the same? I would say no, because the Brewers Association didn't do enough to broaden this hobby out to more people, right? That's what their job is to spread the good news of craft beer. That's what we say every week.
Yep.
That's their job, and they're not doing their job if the diversity is not getting better. Do I want them to go and make a statement that every brewery has to have this many of this, that? No, I don't want. I want to organically develop. I don't want to be forced. If you force it, it's not going to work. You have to build it in a way that it naturally goes and encourages diversity and gets that out there, right? You're not going to be able to force it. So, okay, good job, Chris. You did well there. All right, one last thing before we close up. I mentioned at the beginning of this segment that I actually just quickly went through all 22 breweries that are in Boise. Went to their websites. I already knew some of the answer, some of the brewers and some of the, who the head brewers are and female brewers and other ethnic groups, but I don't know all of them, right? And maybe there's new people that came in. So I went to try to find out what the diversity is. Like, take just one small little pocket of craft beer industry here in the Boise area, small little town of Boise, 22 breweries. And here's what I came up with. Now, again, probably a third they don't have any information on brewers, so I couldn't collaborate with that. So, maybe this information is just, again, just like the survey results we talked about, it's not conclusive, right? This is just the data that I was able to pull off the internet. 22 breweries in Boise, 18% of these breweries have female brewers.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So and it would have been more, but remember I talked about Carrie, the female brewer that worked at Edge Brewing that had the boil over that got burnt.
Yeah.
She went to Mother Earth, and then she went from there to somewhere else. I'm not sure where she went. So she's not counted in this group because she was a female brewer in the area, but is no longer doing the brewing. So it would have been even more if we had her. But 18% female brewers, 9% Hispanic, Asian descent, 0% Black. So we got some work to do there. But honestly, here in the Boise area, we don't have a huge population of Black people. So it's 0% is horrible, but maybe we're not too far off from, for having a brewery open that has a head brewer or a brewer working for it. It's very possible. So we got some work there. Now, just to give some credit here, I'll name off the brewers and talk about a little bit about them. So Woodland Empire here in the Boise area, the owner, co-owner, co-founder, co-owner, and head brewer, Keely Landerman. And she's I don't want to make assumptions here. I believe I've met her before. I believe she's Asian, but she's of either Asian or Hispanic or combination. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions. I think she's Japanese, part Japanese American. But again, she kind of hits two of those things, right? She's female, and she owns a brewery. She's part owner, and she's the head brewer. We have Pay Up Brewing has Nina Schroofs. She's a brewer. We have Boise Brewing, Lindley Garside. Now, Lindley, she used to work at Brewers Haven as a beer tender and worked there. And she switched over to Boise Brewing about 3 years ago. And she was working the bar, and then she worked her way into assistant brewer. She's assistant brewer at Boise Brewing. So that's nice. So she's a brewer. And then we have Bear Island Brewing, which is Beth Betchel. And she's the owner and head brewer of Bear Island Brewing. So right there, we have a number of female brewers and owners of breweries. So there we go. We just kind of blew that whole statistic out the water in a small little handful of breweries. And then going back to the combination, I think Marcos Mas from Loose Screw Brewery used to be Bella Brewing. He's the head brewer there, and he's also of I think he's Mexican and Filipino descent. I think combo of the Hispanic Asian group. So again, part of that 9% group. So again, if a small little town like Boise can break that whole statistics out, then I think we might have similar results in other areas as well. All right, Chris, I wasn't going to ask you to figure out how much of that is in Tampa because you got a lot more breweries, but Boise was kind of easy to.
Yeah, I started taking a peek earlier in the show. It doesn't really give us a whole lot of information, and just making a quick Google search, it's kind of hard to find out.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, let's just go right into some new and noteworthy beers. Hopefully, quick and dirty. We're gonna get this show done in under an hour and a half. Let's make that goal, right? I said it was gonna be a short show, so let's get it under an hour and a half.
Quick and dirty works for me.
All right. What's your new and noteworthy?
New and noteworthy. We're gonna go on the first one from BlackStack Brewing. Ken, this is a long name. The Ken Burns presents Guava, Passionfruit, and Apricot, episode 11.
I love it.
Yeah, it was a great name. And this I gave a 4.5 out of 5 cap rating. This was a smoothie sour. This was more like sit down, have a glass of juice for breakfast kind of beer. It was really good. It was guava, passion fruit, apricot. Everything worked really well together. Super easy to drink, and I was really happy with that one. And then my second one, call it a beer if you want to. It's called Amelia from Schramm's Mead. Clocking in at, if I remember this correctly, 13 to 15%. Comes in a really nice, tall, narrow, 375 milliliter bottle, corked. And we took this, we were out camping this past weekend and we took this out in the woods with us.
It was a beautiful bottle. I like that slender, tall bottle. Very nice.
Well, and the beer, it was nice because of course with most meads, or at least most meads that I've had from Schramm's, there's always some berries and things like that go along with it. So it started off kind of tannic, a little bitter, and then really quickly switched over into the sweet. So it was like starting out with red wine. You get some like oaky flavor, some tannins from the peels of whichever fruit they might have used, and then it switched over real fast, and then you get that honey in there and the fruit that's in there. And it's definitely not one that you're gonna finish a whole bottle by yourself unless you're a complete lunatic. But man, was this good. Sitting by the fire, taking a sip of this out of my B cups, of course, because you take them outside camping.
Yeah, they're outside camping cups for sure.
I gave it a 5 cap rating, and man, this was really nice. Now, granted, slightly inebriated starting into this one, but still really good.
Oh, good.
All right, let's go over your extensive list of beers too, Denny. What you got for us?
I have one beer. It's gonna be short and sweet. It's from a brewery that is not one I've ever heard about before. And again, we have a distributor that brings in stuff, like random stuff from around the nation, right? And so this is coming from Chicago, Illinois, and it's Whiner Beer Company. And the beer is La Tube or La Tub. I don't know. It's a Saison style. And this was an Easter gift from my lovely wife. First time having a Whiner beer or brew, and I'm enjoying this Saison. Very light, crisp, refreshing with a slight tartness with a lemony flavor. This is one I think Chad Lamassa might enjoy as well. Happy Easter. I gave this 4 cap rating. And I'll tell you the beer label, which, hold on, let me just jump up and grab this label real quick.
Oh, you peeled it off.
I did.
Oh,
you
okay.
See that?
Yeah.
So basically, it's a cat on a tub, and you see the little mouse hole with a goat head holding a cheese photo, and the mouse comes running over. The cat jumps on there and catches it, and it's on the tub. So very, very unique label. And I used your technique of filling the can with warm water, and it peels off very nice. So thank you, Chris, for hooking me up with that. But yeah, I love the artwork on that. So I saved the label. But yeah, 4 cap rating. And this is a Saison that's very approachable, not heavy on the Saison spices. Very refreshing, light, crisp. It did have the only thing that might put someone off at the first sip. And I'm not used to having Saisons that do have a tartness to it, but I think the tartness came from, it's got to be lemons that are in, or like I said, I tasted that lemon tartness a little bit. And so I don't know if it put lemons in there or if it just came as a byproduct of the yeast gave off a lemony character, or maybe the hops they use. But I liked it. I liked the lemon tartness. But yeah, very refreshing. Went down very, very smooth. And yeah, so I want to recommend Whiner Beer Company, La Tub Saison.
So Tom Joseph said that one of the best things about the Rona is no more lines for beer.
No more lines.
And more good beer available in different areas.
True. All right. Good point. Good point, Tom. Thank you for joining us, Tom, for a few minutes that you did. We appreciate that. Unless you're still in there, I don't know who's in or not out unless they leave messages. All right, Chris, let's end this show. Let's get this thing done before the hour and a half, get you on your way to your job.
Yeah.
And but who'd like to give a toast to tonight?
I want to raise a glass to our other co-host on the Fermented Reality Beer Cast, Mr. Joel Bigham. He turned 44 yesterday.
Yes.
And he made it very clear to me the last time I talked to him, I'm turning 4-4 on 4-4. So I can't really miss on raising a glass to him. So cheers, buddy. I hope you had an awesome birthday yesterday, and hope we get to enjoy a beer with you pretty soon. And Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to?
Yeah, I raised my glass to Joel yesterday. I sent him a text message You know, when I am friends with people and I have their phone, I don't Facebook, birthday wishes. I send it straight to their text.
That's why
I think
you
it's
and
more
I are
personal
classy.
that way.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so the people that don't share their phone number with me, I use Facebook because I don't have any other way of doing it. I just want to make sure I try to recognize their birthday, but I did send it. So yeah, that's great that Joel's 44. I told him he's catching up to me very quickly. So
But you
watch
need to
out.
slow down.
Yeah, he needs to slow down a little bit. But my only Patreon toast besides Joel is to our other only other toast besides Joel is to our Patreon. And to this week, I chose Tara Carlson as our Patreon toast of the week. So cheers to you, Tara. Thank you for your support and for all those wonderful topics that I will be using in the next several episodes. So be prepared to get some information on your topics. And of course, being a former serviceman, I want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and who are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. I hope those deployed are able to return home safely very soon. And Chris, why don't you go ahead and give a toast to our sponsor?
At the forefront of the craft beer movement, Brewer Shirts was one of the first to create apparel that celebrates the art of brewing and the love of fine beer. Never too trendy, always comfortable, and offering affordable quality. They screen print their gear by hand in their studio using eco-friendly inks, materials, and processes. Visit their online store at brewershirts.com and use the coupon code TAPTheCraft2020 to receive 15% off full-priced items.
Yeah. And you can find the beers and the links to the articles mentioned on the show in our show notes located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Chris, how can our listeners follow you?
Hardly never on Chris_McKenzie82 on Twitter. But you can find me on Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. And always, like Denny said, 24/7, 365 on our Facebook page at facebook.com/tapthecraft. And don't forget about the rest of our social stuff. Everything's at Tap the Craft, guys.
That's right. Easy peasy. All right. It is last call. It's time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening. And we ask you to please tell a friend. And of course, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, Google Play, CastBox, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now Amazon Podcasts, or however you listen to your podcast. And as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.